Let's dive into the drama of Leia, my late brother's wife, who's a total bitch. From the get-go, I could tell that she was just after his money. But my brother was head over heels and couldn't see it. So they rushed into marriage after just a year of dating, and that's when things went downhill. Leah never wanted kids, but whoopsie, surprise pregnancy. She got knocked up with my adorable niece, Zoe. You'd think she'd change her tune, but nope. She still saw Zoe as a burden from day one. Not cool, right? And let me tell you, she's got bad mom written all over her. Leah was more interested in partying and shopping than taking care of her flesh and blood. It's like she thought being a mom was a part-time gig she could just clock in and out of whenever she pleased. Emotionally, she was ice cold. Zoe would reach out for some love and attention, but Leah would brush her off like she was some pesky fly. I mean, who treats their kid like that? It's just plain messed up. There were times Zoe needed a hug or some comfort, but Leah was too busy with her drama to bother. It's heart-wrenching to see a little one in need, but her mom can't be bothered to care. And let me tell you, the emotional abuse was real. Leah would tear down Zoe's confidence, always making her feel like she wasn't good enough. No child should have to deal with that, but there Zoe was, stuck in this toxic mess. It's like Leia thought being a mom was just a role she had to play for show, but deep down she had no love to give. It's just sad and disappointing. So there you have it, the messy tale of Leia, the gold digger turned neglectful mom. Now, to top it all, something major happened. My brother, poor thing, got diagnosed with a terrible disease and it was terminal. It was a tough time for all of us, and we hoped and prayed for a miracle. But you know what? Leah couldn't be bothered to take care of him. She was too busy spending his money living the high life while he suffered. It's like she had no compassion, no empathy for the man she supposedly loved. Then the unthinkable happened. My brother passed away, leaving us all devastated. It was a gut-wrenching blow, and accepting his absence was a challenge beyond words. But get this, Leia, the heartless bitch, didn't even spare a thought for her daughter. Just 2 weeks after her husband's death, she kicked Zoe, my precious niece, out of her life. Can you believe it? Zoe was only 15 at the time, for crying out loud. I couldn't stand by and watch Zoe suffer. No way. I knew I had to step in and be there for her when she needed someone the most. So, without a second thought, I took her into my home, making sure she felt loved and cared for. When I took Zoe in, she was in a rough spot, skinny and scared of everything. Poor thing. It was clear she had been through some serious abuse, both physically and emotionally. It broke my heart to see her like that, but she was also the last memory of my brother, so I loved her like my daughter. Zoe used to get so scared of making even the tiniest mistakes that she expected punishment for everything. It was like she was always on edge, waiting for something bad to happen. But I couldn't stand seeing her like that, so my daughter and I welcomed her into our family with open arms. We treated her with kindness and patience, showing her that she didn't have to be afraid anymore. Slowly, she started to trust us and open up. It wasn't easy, but with therapy, love, and care, she started to smile again and find joy in life. Now, Zoe's a part of our family, and she knows she's loved no matter what. She and my daughter have become the best of friends, like true sisters. It's like we were meant to find each other and become a family that looks out for one another. Zoe's healing journey wasn't over, but with love as our foundation, we knew that she would keep making progress. That's when Leia dropped in. After 3 long years of no contact with Zoe, her mom, my sister-in-law, unexpectedly barged back into our lives with some shady intentions. She demanded Zoe's signature on some mysterious papers, and she was hell-bent on keeping them hidden from me. Something fishy was going on, and I wasn't about to let Zoe get dragged into another mess. I couldn't bear the thought of Zoe being taken advantage of, so I dug deep and finally got my hands on those papers. Lo and behold, they were property documents, and Leia had her greedy eyes set on my late brother's entire property. She wanted to cut Zoe out of her rightful share. I wasn't going to let that happen. Zoe was family, and she deserved her fair share of what her dad had left behind. I knew I had to stand up and protect her interests. I confronted Leia, and it was not pretty. I laid down the law and made it crystal clear that Zoe was not going to be pushed around anymore. I reminded her that she had abandoned her daughter and she had no right to swoop back in and claim what wasn't hers. Leia tried to play the victim card, but I wasn't falling for her tricks. I knew she was just trying to manipulate the situation to get what she wanted. But I wasn't backing down, not this time. I sought legal advice and made sure Zoe's rights were protected. I was determined to fight for her no matter what it took. It was like going into battle, but I was ready to take on whatever came my way to ensure Zoe got what she rightfully deserved. I'm happy to say that after a long and exhausting battle, we came out victorious. Zoe got her fair share of the property just as her dad would have wanted. It was a triumph of justice and proof of the power of fighting for what's right. Leia may have tried to use Zoe for her gain, but she underestimated the strength of our family bond. Zoe is no longer the scared and fragile girl she once was. She has found her voice and her place in our family, and together, we'll continue to stand strong against anyone who tries to harm her. My sister-in-law blames me for turning her daughter against her. Does that even make sense? Update 1. Just when we thought the drama was over, my sister-in-law Leia took things to a whole new level of craziness. Not only did she try to swipe Zoe's rightful inheritance, but she also started stalking her daughter. Like, seriously? What is wrong with her? Leia had no clue about Zoe's studies, but that didn't stop her from randomly approaching her on the streets. It was like something out of a bad movie. Who does this kind of stuff? But you know what? Zoe surprised us all. Instead of cowering in fear like she used to, she stood up to her mom and said a big fat no. It was such a huge deal because Zoe had always been terrified of her mom, and rightfully so after everything she'd been through. The fact that Zoe found the courage to say no to her mom was nothing short of amazing. It was a proud moment for all of us. Sure, she hadn't seen her mom in 3 years, but that didn't make this any less challenging. It takes guts to stand up to someone who once had such a hold on your life. And there was Zoe, fearlessly asserting herself and protecting her boundaries. Leia's stalking tactics may have been disturbing, but we weren't going to let her negativity bring us down. Update 2. Redditors, get ready for some top-notch drama. Leia has taken her game to a whole new level, the victim card. She's out there spinning lies and pretending she never wanted to send Zoe away. Can you believe the nerve of this woman? According to her twisted version of events, it was all my doing. She claims I forced her to act like a heartless monster and even went so far as to say I blackmailed her years ago. Like, seriously? Is she for real? Leia's playing the sympathy card like a pro, faking her love and emotions for Zoe. It's all just one big act to try and manipulate her way back into our lives. But you know what? Zoe saw right through her game. My niece, bless her soul, didn't fall for any of it. She gave her mom a piece of her mind that was nothing short of epic. I wish you could have seen it. Zoe let it all out, a powerful monologue about the trauma she went through and how her mom's actions hurt her. She stood tall and strong, bashing her mom with the truth. Update 3. After Zoe's powerful confrontation with her mom, Leia's life took an unexpected turn. Karma had finally caught up with her, and it was about to deliver a dose of reality she couldn't escape. Leah's toxic behavior and manipulation alienated everyone around her. People saw through her lies and deceit, and she found herself isolated and alone. Even some of her so called friends turned their backs on her, unable to bear her constant drama. As if that wasn't enough, rumors about Leia's past actions started surfacing. People in the community began to learn about how she had mistreated her daughter and thrown her out after her husband's death. Her reputation was so bad that she became the talk of the town for all the wrong reasons. She ended up all broke and lonely, but not our concern. Zoe and I are doing well. Thank you for listening. Love the comments. NTA, your sister in law's behavior towards Zoe is straight up cruel. It's heartbreaking to see how she treated her daughter after your brother's passing. I can't even imagine how tough it must have been for you and Zoe. Keep being the amazing aunt you are and continue supporting Zoe on her healing journey. Families should lift each other, not tear each other down. Nobody deserves to be treated like that, especially by their mom. Surround yourself with people who make you better and keep being the strong queen you are. NTA, dude, her mom's actions were messed up. She deserves to be treated with love and respect, not thrown out like that. It's so brave of you to stand up for Zoe and confront her. She needs to take responsibility for what she did. Keep shining and living your best life. Peace out, guys. Oh my God, NTA at all. Aunt Goals is right here. Your sister's behavior towards Zoe is just terrible. No one should be treated like that, especially not by their mom. You're like a superhero swooping in to save Zoe and provide her with the love and care she deserves. It's incredible how you stood your ground and made sure Zoe got justice. Your sister-in-law needs to take a serious look at herself and learn how to be a decent human being. Keep being that fierce and loving aunt, and together, you and Zoe can conquer anything. Next story. I, female 18, got into an argument with my parents and sister yesterday. It ended with me yelling at my sister that I'm worth more and that she's useless, and she ran into her room crying. My parents were so mad at me. My sister was always the favorite child. She was diagnosed with depression and a few other things at the age of 16. Her life was hard, so my parents always drew all their attention to her, driving her around, buying her everything, letting her go out, and blaming me for everything she breaks, which often sounds like it's your fault that she broke your shutters. Why do you need to have them down? That was on a very hot day, and my sister literally played with it to annoy me till it broke. Even when I told her that she should stop because it was going to break. But most important, they freed her from every chores forever. I felt left out and I had a lot more work to do. I have school from 7:45 a.m. until 5:15 p.m. almost every day except for Wednesday, 9:40 a.m. to 1 p.m. I also had a lot of homework and presentations or had to learn for exams. I couldn't keep up with the chores, and my parents just insisted on me doing them. I would have to feed the pets either before school or during my lunch break, and we have a lot of pets: chickens, rabbits, one dog, fish, birds, hamsters, and mice. After school, I would have to stay up late to finish the chores around the house and do my schoolwork. I was tired almost every morning, while my sister was doing nothing. She dropped out of school and is still living with our parents. I hate my family, and I plan to move out as soon as I can. So I decided to make some money to rent an apartment. I applied to a local bio shop and got accepted. I will work there on Wednesdays and Saturdays today. I told my family at dinner because I can't do it without them knowing, since they would wonder where I am. Suddenly, my mother's eyes were sparkling and she put on a big smile. Then she turned to my sister and said, "That's great. Now we can finally get more money to buy your first apartment." My blood was boiling. I said that I was going to save it until I could buy or rent myself my first own apartment. Then my mother told me that my sister was older than me and she would come first, and that I should help her out since she was not able to work. 1. How would my sister, who never did anything in the household, be able to live alone? 2. She can work. She just doesn't want to since my parents always treated her like a queen. I said to my sister, I will never support you. You are useless and you don't even know anything. You can't cook and don't work. You are just expensive and a waste of money. I am worth way more than you. I was in a rage and it was not nice, but I couldn't control it. I finally told her just a tiny bit of what I really wanted to tell her and it felt great. AITA for that? Your parents are the reason your sister is incapable of doing anything for herself. They coddled her and never made her responsible for anything she's done growing up. I don't think it's her fault, though, as she's never been taught better, as your parents sheltered her, I assume, her whole life. I can understand your resentment towards her, but why TA for saying those hurtful things to her? Your parents are the ones at fault here. P.S. I'm sorry you had to grow up always being the scapegoat for your sister. It's unfair and cruel. NAH, NTA, and I'll say that because people that treat you with contempt deserve contempt in return. You're 18. You can move out as soon as you can afford it, and they literally can't prevent you. And you don't have to give your sister anything, and I absolutely wouldn't. Now, do your actions reconcile your relationship with the mom and sister? No, but that doesn't sound like it's your goal. NTA, make sure you have a bank account your parents don't have access to. Next story. I, 25, female, have 2 kids, M, 4, and R, 1, female. Early this week, I received a message from M's teacher asking me to pick her up because she wasn't feeling well. I left work to get her from school. Some background information. M is speech delayed. She's been in speech therapy for almost 2 years now, and her speech has improved drastically since starting school. 6 months ago, she still wasn't speaking in complete sentences, but she could communicate her needs, wants, etc. Now she's nearly caught up with her peers and speaks age-appropriately for the most part, but is still receiving therapy. My aunt, A, 40, female, is my babysitter. She watches R while M is in school and gets M off the bus in the afternoons. She watches them 3 days a week. A also takes care of her 2 grandkids and watches one of my sister's kids occasionally. I'm the only one who pays her to babysit. When I picked Em up from school, I was putting her in the car and she asked, "Where's Sissy?" I told her she was at A's house and she asked, "Sissy sleeping?" I told her I wasn't sure. Em then said, "A says hates Sissy when she doesn't sleep." And I asked her to repeat that and she did, so I asked, "A says she hates Sissy?" And she says yes. Then I asked, "Does she say she hates you too?" She says yes. So I asked if she says she hates Z, grandson 2, male. And she said no. I asked her if A is mean to them and she says yes. So I went and picked up R from A's house. I didn't say anything about it when I picked her up. I honestly wasn't sure what to say at that point. All I knew was that I needed to pick my baby up and figure out the rest later. Em always hates being dropped off there, and I just figured it was because all the kids there drive her crazy, and she wanted to stay with me. She's never said anything before that would make me think they were being mistreated. But she also didn't have good communication skills up until a few months ago. She would cry when I would tell her A was going to put her on the bus, but was fine when I put her on the bus. Again, I just assumed it was because she wanted me instead. There are other things too, but I'll admit that I just chalked it up to her wanting to stay with me. Yesterday, I sent A message. I told her I would find someone else to watch my kids. I didn't accuse her or try to start an argument. I simply told her why I didn't want her to babysit anymore. She denied it. She wasn't sure why she would say something like that. She loves my kids as if they were her own. She said she probably said that because she thinks if I don't watch her, her dad will. I know my kids, and she isn't able to be manipulative like that yet. She rarely tells stories, and if she does, it's something along the lines of Sonic dumping her toys on the floor, not her. Then it was maybe she heard her say that to the dog. So, AITA for believing my 4-year-old and not the babysitter? NTA, trust your child. Based on her behavior and what she said, your aunt shouldn't be watching your kids. Don't second guess yourself. NTA, M's statement combined with her consistently being upset about spending time with A strongly suggests mistreatment of some type. Always believe your children in cases like this. The consistent desire for avoidance plus a statement of fact like she made points to something mean at best and possibly nefarious. Search Best of Reddit Updates, BORU, for Search Best of Reddit Updates, BORU, for screaming and thrashing, for a story where the mom did not listen to her gut with a devastating outcome. Next story. I, male, 29, have lived with my partner, female, 29, for 5 years. We both love to cook, so have always had a well-stocked kitchen. My partner's brother, male, 24, has a fairly severe peanut allergy, potentially fatal if he ingests one and it isn't treated shortly afterward. We've always kept nut products in our kitchen on the basis that brother-in-law, I'll call him that for convenience, lives 3 hours away and has visited our place 3 times in the 5 years that we've lived together. We dine out on those occasions and it's never been an issue. Brother-in-law is very laid back about his allergy and manages it well. My partner went on holiday with her family in December and since coming back has asked that we make our kitchen nut-free, on the basis that she wouldn't be comfortable if her brother ever came to visit. I asked if there was a near-miss issue on holiday, but there wasn't. I asked if brother-in-law was planning a visit or to visit more frequently, but he isn't. I asked if brother-in-law had requested this himself, but he hasn't. She also wants to get rid of all nuts, not just peanuts, related allergens. He's fine with tree nuts, for example. This would mean disposing of a lot of nuts, oil, spreads, and various other staples at risk of cross-contamination. We also cook, bake with these things a lot, so it would mean a big shift in how we prepare food and what recipes we can use. I suggested we could store nut products completely separately in airtight containers and that I would thoroughly deep clean the next time he visits, but that apparently wouldn't be enough for comfort. I'm not insensitive to how difficult allergies can be to manage, but I'm not comfortable wasting so much produce and changing cooking habits so much for a hypothetical scenario that may never happen. Brother-in-law visiting and eating our cross-contaminated cooking. His home kitchen, he lives with his parents, houses peanuts, but they're just kept separate and not used around him. I also pointed out that my best friend has a similarly severe shellfish allergy, but we make that work without major accommodations, despite him visiting far more frequently. My partner is calling me insensitive and is barely open to discussing the matter. This is unlike us, as we've always communicated well and compromised in the past. This is what's making me doubt myself. Am I being too stubborn? It feels like the issue has come out of nowhere, but I want to be as accommodating as I can within reason. I just disagree with where the line is being drawn. NTA, something is going on that you need to talk to your partner about. Something has changed. Your brother-in-law barely visits and isn't concerned at all. He sees his parents more and they still have peanuts in the house. Your brother-in-law isn't the issue, but something has changed for your partner. Does she have anxiety and it's suddenly worse and this is what she's focusing on? NTA, your partner is nuts. I have many food allergies and I have made accommodations at my home, but I can't ask people to completely change their lifestyle to accommodate my occasional visit. Yes, when we're going to eat at some friend's house, I tell beforehand about my worst allergies and ask if it is possible not to serve dishes with those things. But it would be unreasonable for them to throw out all their nuts because I'm visiting twice a year. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.